All right, it's 9 a.m. Let's stand for a prayer and a pledge of allegiance. Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning, and we just give you the praise for a new day, and we thank you for all the rain that we have gotten. We know some more is coming. We just pray that you would protect our community from any damage and floods. Lord, we put this agenda before you today and just pray that you grant us wisdom and direction on each matter. We're thankful for the responsibilities that you have given to each of us. Father, I want to just express my appreciation to the elected officials that will soon be coming to the end of their term in office here in Titus County. I thank you for the support and assistance that they have given not only to me but to this community and to the people that need the services of each of these departments. Lord, we pray for our first responders, and we pray for our servicemen and women wherever they may be during this Christmas season. Many will not be able to be with their families, so we just pray for your protection and comfort upon them. Lord, we turn this agenda over to you now and just praise you at this time of celebration of your birth. In Christ's name, amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, for the record, today is the 12th of December, 2022. It is just after 9 a.m. This is our first regular meeting of the month of December 2022, and we'll begin with item number 1, public comments, requests for information on non-agenda items. This is your opportunity. If you want to speak during a particular agenda item, you're welcome to do that too. Does anyone have any general comments for the court at this time? All right, we'll move to item number 2. We have a set of minutes to consider from back on November the 28th.
Make a motion we approve.
Motion to approve that set of minutes is made by Commissioner Parchman.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fitch. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 3 is report from commissioners regarding roadwork status. Commissioner Parker, what's going on in Precinct 4?
We've just been patching mostly, and of course some of my guys have already started their vacations and will be off till around the first of the year. But I've still got, well, one started last week and got another one starting tomorrow, and then the last 2 will start next Tuesday, I think it is, when they start there. So just trying to get everything caught up and all between now and the time they do leave, and so we've been trying to get some patching done. Had to take a few trees down and clean all that up. So.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Applewhite.
Been putting in, this last rainfall, we had lost a 72-inch culvert and a 48-inch culvert on 1828, and lucky we found a replacement on the 72-inch, but on the 48, it caught up before it went down the stream. It washed completely out, and then we've had working picking up trees and trying to clear the roadways. So.
All right, Commissioner Fitch.
All right, Precinct 2, been cleaning some bridges off from some high water. Had crossed over them and washed a bunch of debris onto them, and of course trees been giving us trouble with the rain and some, I don't know, a little bit of wind and do a lot of damage. And we put some culverts in and patching.
Thank you. Commissioner Parchman.
We have Scab County Road 1030 and County Road 1032 been replacing culverts and patching.
Very good. All right, thank you. Item number 4, recognition of retirement and years of service for county employees and elected officials. This will be somewhat of an abbreviated time that we have to celebrate some folks that will be leaving office, just to kind of give you a schedule of what we do have planned in addition to presenting some nice plaques here. The last week of the month on Thursday, and I think that's the 29th, we will have a non-publicized reception here in the courtroom, and I'm sure some of us will trickle out into the hallways out there where county employees can get together and shake a few hands. We have 6 folks that are leaving both the district and the county, and I'm going to go through those in just a moment. But that'll be for county only. We're not publicizing that for the general public. They're certainly welcome to come, but our publicized event will be the next day, and that will be on Friday the 30th over across the street at Laura's Cheesecake. We will have a publicly advertised event, a reception, where we will have hopefully our 6 folks that are retiring and leaving office that will be there to be able to meet the public and express our gratitude for them putting us into the office that we serve in. So those will be coming up the last week of December on the 29th and 30th. But for today, since this is going to be my last Commissioner's Court, because I've got a family vacation planned at the next meeting, which will be next Thursday, a week from this coming Thursday, I wanted to be able to be here and present each of these. But I'd like to kind of go through these one at a time, and we'll begin with ladies first, and I'm going to go in descending order, years of service. So Cheryl, I would like to recognize you at this time for your service, 12 years in office as our county treasurer. You came into office when I did, and I was doing some calculations, and I know you're here every time we open the doors for Commissioner's Court. We have at least 24 meetings a year, and sometimes we'll tack on 3 or 4 or sometimes 10 extra meetings in the year. So that's probably about 360 Commissioner's Courts that you've been here and presented your treasurer's report. And during that entire time, I don't think you've bounced a single check, have you? Not a single one. Well, personally, I want to express to you my thanks for your support for me, for this Commissioner's Court, for the county in general, for making sure all of our bills get paid and making sure all of our balances tie to the penny and reconciling all of those bank accounts. And we appreciate the training that you're providing for our new incoming treasurer. So on behalf of the county, and I'm going to come down and present these plaques here in just a moment, just want to say thank you, and we'll look forward to having that reception there honoring you amongst all of these others as well. All right, thank you. Next, we have Joan Newman, our retiring county clerk, and based on my calculation, that's about 240 Commissioners Court meetings that you've come to and prepared with your employees our minutes for us, documenting everything that's gone on here. And I work particularly closely with you, of course, in criminal court and many other things that flow through your office. You're the one that I rely upon to document and preserve everything that we do up here in writing. And thank you for the assistance that you and your staff have given to me during our criminal courts in addition to our Commissioner's Court. And so again, you finish up 8 years of service with the county, and so we will look forward to having our county time together to express appreciation to you, as well as our time with the general public across the street. All right. Next, we have Commissioner John Fitch. John completes 4 years in office as Commissioner, Precinct 2, and John's got some exciting things ahead of him in his next phase of his life that he'll be sharing with us in the days ahead. But I am particularly grateful for the wise counsel that John has given me in the last 4 years. And I think I want to recognize probably the biggest impact that you made for me, and I think for the rest of the county, is steering us towards leaving our self-funded insurance plan and getting us to go with TAC, with standard health insurance, and that saved the county several $100,000s. And that was one of those many examples where somebody else proved that I was not as smart as I thought I was and got me to change my mind. So I really appreciate that. But we thank you for the service that you've given to Precinct 2 and to the Commissioner's Court, and for all the different little projects that I asked you for assistance in and doing research for me and gathering information. So it's been a pleasure serving right here next to you, and we'll look forward to also letting letting all the commissioners as well as all their other employees express their thanks to you in the last week of December.
Thank you.
Judge Ralston is in the midst of picking a jury. I spoke with him last week on Thursday, and he expresses his apology that he's not able to be here, but he is working right up to the nth hour over there. He's not slacking off at all, but he is picking a jury, so you will have an opportunity to shake his hand, express our appreciation to him there in that last week of the year. The next in line, although not an elected official, an extremely important individual to me, and he has several of his, in fact, every one of his co-workers here with him, and that is Paul Lindsay. Paul is our county investigator, and that's something that's a word that, well, what exactly does he investigate? Well, I can tell you, Paul investigates a lot of things related to criminal court, but that's not all that he does. Not only does he serve as a primary assistant and to John Mark Coburn, our county attorney, in preparation of cases that we have against criminals. He watches hours and hours of video. He looks through the documents. He communicates with law enforcement. He communicates with the attorneys that represent these criminals. He communicates directly with those that are the defendant in particular cases. He serves as the bailiff in our criminal court. He's always wearing his gun. He's watching the metal detector out there and making sure that we don't have any folks in here that might want to disrupt or even worse during our criminal court. And so we are grateful, Paul, for your services. Refresh my memory. I know you were on the job when I came in 12 years ago. When exactly did you start?
July the 12th, 2010, so I've been here about 12 and a half years.
July the 12th, 2010, so about 6 months before I got here.
Right.
Well, we appreciate you and all the experience that you brought with you from Houston, and how much it helped us in the professionalism of the county attorney's office. It really enables John Mark and his ladies that are here with us today to maximize his efforts and really move a lot of cases. We got a lot of the docket moved in those early years, and you were one of the primary supporters in getting us to do that. And since your boss is here, John Mark, if you wanted to say anything, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, I'm going to come down there and I'm going to hand out some plaques.
Well, I just want to say I don't think I've ever thought
Will you stand up maybe at that podium just so we can get you on the record?
Well, I don't want to just thank Paul. However, I will say Paul's just been a tremendous asset to me, as you've said. When I started, I really, it was a tragic situation. As you all know, when Robert Arlano passed away, that was, speaking at his funeral, I say to this day, is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life. I usually don't have trouble speaking in front of people, but I literally couldn't talk. I literally, my mind went blank, and luckily, good Lord gave me the words to say them. But anyway, that was a horrible situation for all of us, and countywide. And Paul, I called Paul. He wasn't planning on coming back to work, and I told him how I really would appreciate his assistance, and he stepped up, and he's done a tremendous job, and I can't thank him enough. As far as everyone else, gosh, I just start with you, Joan. Joan's been just, you know, a tremendous county clerk. As you know, gosh, if we don't have a good county clerk, things don't work well. So, so I'm very thankful for that, for you. And gosh, you've been, you know, treasurers aren't supposed to work as hard as she does. So, you know, she gets here before I do, and often leaves after I do. And she knows that. So I appreciate your hard work as well. And John, gosh, you've done a heck of a job as a commissioner. Very thankful for your service as well. Is that everybody?
And your dad.
He's not here.
Well, I'm gonna present his plaque to you.
I will say about my dad. He's done a heck of a job. He's done a heck of a job just through his whole career. You know, hardest working person I've ever met. I've never met anybody that worked 7 days a week. I'm not exaggerating. He 7 days a week his whole career, and you know, he just did a heck of a job as a judge. And I hate that he has to retire, because he would still be working if the legislature didn't impose that rule on judges, but not themselves. But that's another thing. But anyway, I'll give you to take his.
Yeah. Hear me. And anybody that wants to take a picture, I would like each one of these, somebody to get a couple of pictures. And if you'll come up first, and I got to be sure that I can read these in the right order. Cheryl Purdy, our county treasurer, January 1, 2011 to December 31st, 2022. Or then, are you? Okay. In appreciation of 12 years of service to Titus County.
Thank you very much.
And I will shake your hand.
I appreciate it.
Congratulations. Now, and then if there's anybody who wants to stick around long enough to get any other pictures, you're welcome to do that. All right, we have Joan Newman. And Joan, of course, this says presented to Joan Newman, County Clerk, January 1st, 2015. I shake your hand, and we will. Got it. All right. Commissioner Fitch. Presented to John Fitch, Commissioner Precinct 2, January 1, 2019 to December 31, 2022, and in appreciation of your 4 years of service to Titus County. Thank you, Dennis. John Mark, I'm going to present to you yours.
Jessica just mentioned I forgot to say that.
Well, you can do that in a minute. That really wasn't the purpose of this today. I think I'll have plenty of time to get some hands shaken. Presented to Robert Paulson, our district judge, January 1st, 2011, and in office, along with Cheryl and myself, through December 31st, 2022, in appreciation of 12 years of service. If you'll get that to him, I will be sure that we want him to come to our other events. And so we'll get a picture of you since we don't have him. All right, and John Mark, I'm going to let you present to Paul here. But I want to be in the picture.
All right, Paul, this is from the county. I don't have your attorney that I've got for you, but it should be, I'll have to ask Lexi what the status is. But anyway, should be almost done. Yeah, 12 years of service to the county. It's been just a pleasure working with you, and I'm really going to hate to see you leave. I tried my best to talk you out of it, but I understand you got other things you need to get done. So.
It didn't go long. It caused cancer, but it didn't work.
Can we get a picture with you two and then your two employees? Sure. Do that. Lexi and Jessica, if you'll come up there on Paul's right. Get your family out there. Picture. Yeah, that's right. One more. That one. All right. Excellent, excellent. And I'm going to take 5 seconds here, and I'm going to take this, and I'm going to proudly display this in my retirement desk here. And I have certainly appreciated the role that I've had here, and for the voters putting me in office. I have nothing else to say. I will maybe say something else at the end of the last week of December, but I will take that here. one more time, thank you all of these folks that are. Yeah, get a Judy and I.
We should have got one with John too, I guess. We should have got one with all John too.
All right, next item is item number 5, consider and possibly approve an office space agreement for our state representative, Cole Hefner. Each term in office, Cole brings to us a new document that we provide for him that is, for whatever reason, required by his office. And this is a document that he's prepared. Simply states this district office agreement is entered into between Titus County, herein referred to as the donator, and Cole Hefner, a member of the House of Representatives of the state of Texas. And this is for his utilization of the office we give him over there across the street in the adult probation offices. And this term will begin January 11th of 2023 and will end January the 14th of 2025. The value of that donated space is estimated to be $400 a month. He does require Commissioner's Court for approval of this donation, so I would ask that you approve that to enable me to sign this document for him.
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
Motion's made by Commissioner Parker.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Have you got a blue pen? Anybody got a blue pen? That one's blue. Here, this one's blue. This is yours. I don't know where I got that. Okay, there's that original. Item number 6, consider and possibly appoint a replacement for Judge Lee on the Northeast Texas Rural Rail Transportation District to be effective January 1, 2023. I just wanted to utilize this time just to kind of give a brief review of what the Northeast Texas Rural Rail Transportation District is. We don't talk about this entity very much in Commissioner's Court, but it's an entity that I've been a part of for 11 and a half years. And just as an overview, so that you have a better understanding of not only the current importance of this entity, but what I believe will be extreme importance in the years ahead. A rural rail transportation district, where's my copy? There's my notes on it. A rural rail transportation district is a governmental subdivision of the state. It's created by Commissioners' Courts by resolution, and it's operated by a board of directors who are appointed by the Commissioners' Court. It's a body that holds power of eminent domain and condemnation. Specifically, our rural rail district is called NETEX, Northeast Texas Rural Rail Transportation District. It's an established governmental subdivision of the state of Texas, and it represents 6 counties across Northeast Texas: Titus, Franklin, Hopkins, Delta, Hunt, and Collin counties. It was officially formed in June of 1994 by Titus, Franklin, Hopkins, and Hunt counties to save the former St. Louis Southwestern, which was referred to and still is sometimes referred to as the Cotton Belt Rail. Our rail district owns 65.6 miles of operational railroad plus 23.2 miles of right-of-way where the rails were removed before this entity was formed. In other words, we caught them before they started pulling up any more of that rail. So there's a total corridor length of 88.8 miles. I've given each of you a map here, and I think some of you have seen that before. But the railroad begins right there at the edge of Titus County in Winfield. It continues over through Mount Vernon into Sulphur Springs. It cuts north up to Commerce, back down into Greenville. And right now, that track ends on the far west edge of Greenville, almost to the county line. Collin County is included in this group, although there is not any actual rail within Collin County. There is some right-of-way. And you'll see that remaining little stretch of yellow between Greenville and Wiley. That is that 23 miles where there is no track, but there is some very, very valuable right-of-way. And NETEX actually generates revenue by utility crossings and road crossings all along this rail, even in the areas where there is not any rail that's actually on that right-of-way. Some of the important things there's a lot of important things, but the ones that I wanted to mention today is that our NETEX railroad interchanges with two Class 1 railroads, and that's the Class 1 railroads are the big ones, Union Pacific and Kansas City Southern. It has right-of-way that connects to the DART rail system over in Dallas for future possibility of passenger rail connections from the Metroplex out here to East Texas. NETEX has connections to key political figures, individuals, organizations, and entities involved in the areas of transportation and regional economic development. That includes state and national congressional leaders, TxDOT officials, railroad officials, elected county officials, and then our councils of governments, like our Arctex Council of Governments. Rail service of this former Cotton Belt Rail was resumed in 1996 with the East Texas Central Railroad Company. That was the first operator that NETEX hired to actually run trains up and down that track. That relationship did not last very long, almost 3 years, at which time the Blacklands Railroad became the operator. And when I say the operator, I'm talking about the business that actually owns the locomotives that can carry those products that belong to shippers in our area across that rail and get them into the Metroplex or bring them over here to Mount Pleasant, where they can be then taken over by the Class 1 railroads. The Blacklands Railroad became NETEX's contractor or operator on February 9th back in 1999, and they provided rail service until June 30th of 2020, so nearly a little over 20 years. At that time, the board decided it was necessary to make a change in operators, and so on July 1st, 2020, NETEX hired an entity called the Freedom Rail Group out of Mustang, Oklahoma. And now what used to be called the Blacklands Railroad is now called the Northeast Texas Connector, or NETC. So I know that's confusing, but NETC is the operator that utilizes the NETEX-owned railroad. So this board of directors, this 12-man woman board of directors that makes up the NETEX, we don't have anything to do with running railroads. We just simply turn it over to a contractor who is the one that actually owns, again, the locomotives and hauls the freight up and down that rail. Back in 2011, when I came into office, we did not have any representation on the NETEX board. For whatever reason, our previous administration opted not to participate in those board meetings. And I was encouraged by by several people to get back active on the NETEX board. And so at that time, myself and Charlie Smith, who was our Economic Development Director, joined up. Well, we were members, but we were not active members. We became active members there in mid-2011. Charlie, of course, has moved on when he retired from the EDC, or the Economic Development Corporation. I have been continually going to the monthly board meetings of NETEX since mid-2011. At the end of the tenure of the Blacklands Railroad, which was back there in mid-2019, I can't remember what that actual date was. Let's see here. February 9th, 1999 to June 30th. Okay, it was June 30th, 2020. We were having some problems with that rail operator. The board was fractured. It was not a pleasant situation. We had the entire board unhappy with the operator, unhappy with one another. There was a lot of distrust on that board. And somehow, some way, I became the chairman of that entity. I think I drew the short straw, and we had a major change-up in the leadership, or the executive committee of NETEX there. And so for the last 2.5 years, I have served as the chairman of NETEX, and not at all to give myself credit, but to give credit to this group that truly wanted this to be a viable railroad and wanted it to succeed. We went through a major transition of operators from Blacklands over to NETC, and that began 2.5 years ago. It has been a good relationship. Our operator is now pouring hundreds of thousands of dollars of their profits back in to the care and maintenance and development of that rail. It's in pretty bad shape. It needs lots of new ties. It needs lots of new ballast. It's an unsafe railroad. It can only operate trains at a maximum speed of 10 miles per hour. The goal is here within the next 5 years to have it up to a new standard that would enable trains to run up and down the track at 25 miles an hour. That's our goal. And with NETC and their aggressive contribution toward the repair of that track, I believe that we're going to meet that. The car counts continue to improve month after month, year after year, so we're really bringing this railroad back to viability, and it's going to be, not only now is it, but it's going to be a major contributor for rail traffic and freight traffic, connecting the Class 1 railroads and bringing and delivering to and receiving from some of the shipper customers in our area, which include those in the agricultural and in the manufacturing entities. As you know, all of you were at a meeting a couple of weeks ago at the Chamber of Commerce, and you heard during that executive session what some of the opportunities are ahead for our area, specifically in Titus County. And the hopes are that with the efforts of the Economic Development Corporation, in conjunction with some of the rail that's available in the old Luminant mine area, that there can be, lots of new opportunities for economic development to hopefully bring back economic activity in that mining area and power plant area that has been idle now for several years. And, without going into a lot of details, because some of the things that the Economic Development Corporation are working on right now are still not available to the public, but I believe that you learned at that meeting that they are imminent. In fact, probably in 2023, we may have some bigger news there. So that's a little bit of history on NETEX. Again, I came to the end of my term. We re-elect new officers each year at NETEX, and the board has known that I will be stepping down just because I'll be coming to the end of my term here in office. And the people that serve on the board are 2 representatives from each county, times 6 counties, so there's 12 of us on the board. Currently, Nate Prefert and I serve on the board. Nate's been there with me since Charlie's retirement. Nate wishes to continue while I will be completing my term here in office and also be moving permanently to Rockwall here in the coming months. It's only appropriate that I step down, and the board has known that. We re-elected new officers that will be effective January the 1st. Our new president is Cheryl Williams. She is one of the commissioners from Collin County. Our vice president is Judge Scott Lee from Franklin County. Those are 2 new officers that have not been on the, or that have not served in those capacities before. The secretary and the treasurer. Secretary is a gentleman from Delta County, and the treasurer is a commissioner from Hunt County. And so I think we've got another very good board. I'm very pleased that Cheryl, who has some really good connections with the COG that serves Collin County, and she and her co-representative from Collin County, a gentleman by the name of Duncan Webb, have been instrumental in getting us in front of the right people with the goal of raising some funds to get this rail fixed. So they are expecting a new nomination or appointment from the Commissioner's Court to replace myself, and so that's what I want you to consider today. My recommendation to you, but this is not my recommendation, or I don't make the final say on this, you all make the final say on this, would be that you put Nathan Tafoya, who is our Economic Development Director, on this board. With the things that Nathan is working on, I think that it would be a very good match for him to be involved on the board and the things that the board is working on. At this time, the board really is not aware of the things that Nathan is working on because they haven't been public, but I think that his participation would be important in the months ahead. So that's my recommendation. You can act today. You can table this and consider it after you put some more thought into it. That's up to you, but I do want to be able to report back to the board when they can expect a new appointment, whether that's today or whether that's at a later time. So with that said, if there's any questions that you have, I'll be glad to answer them to the best of my ability. But again, this is a Commissioner's Court appointment. It is not mine.
Kent, would you care to speak on this subject, or?
Not necessarily one way or the other on that. Me and Brian visited earlier if I was wanting to step onto this board, and with everything we had going on with the fire department and all, I didn't think it was going to be a good time for me. I did have a misunderstanding with Brian and thought it would be my appointment, but like he said, it is the commissioner's appointment. The only thing that I would like, we've got another commissioner coming in that will be joining the 3 of y'all that are staying, and John and Brian will be leaving. So that gives Jody a chance to vote on that as well with all of us together. And that would be my preference, that the 5 of us would be deciding who there was, and we'd be working with that person moving forward. So.
You know, and I have expressed to Judge Cooper how I would love to see more elected officials on that board, and at a point in the future, you know, I would love to have the Titus County judge be on this board. Right now, we only have one other judge. We have a commissioner. We have an economic development director from Hunt County. So the more elected officials and folks that have relationships with statewide and even federal elected officials, the better. So that would be something I think would be a target to shoot for in the years ahead.
Well, I'll make a motion that we table this until the newly elected officials come in and they can have a voice on this.
Okay.
I second that.
I have a motion to table this decision. Do you want me to wait until after the first of the year as opposed to the next meeting then?
Yes.
Okay, why don't we say that? Why don't you table this until the January meeting?
Okay, let's table this till the January meeting of next year.
Okay, got a motion. I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor of tabling till January, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. Item number 7, consider and possibly approve allowing volunteer workers in the district clerk's office at no cost to the county. And I don't see Marcus here, and I don't know a whole lot about this subject, but I know that Paul, do you know anything about this?
No, Marcus didn't talk about it at all.
Okay. Well, again, and I don't know if he has particular people targeted for this, but we have checked on this. Volunteer workers will be covered by our insurance policy. I don't see any reason not to allow Marcus to have the discretion to allow volunteer workers within his department. So I would say that this would be fine with me. But he was asking for Commissioners Court approval on that.
I make a motion we allow them to get volunteers.
Motion is made by Commissioner Fitch to allow volunteer workers in the district clerk's office.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 8, consider and possibly approve payments to right-of-way property owners. We originally thought that Gary Luba was going to be here to tell us 2 or 3 particular owners that were ready for their checks. He communicated with James last week and said he wasn't quite ready and asked that we table this. So if you all will table this until, say, the next meeting, I think that we might can have it ready. If not, it'll be the January meeting.
I'll make it motion.
Motion is made by Commissioner Parker to table.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fitch. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, item number 9, discuss monthly payments to volunteer fire departments with possible action. This is something Chief Jerry Ward had approached me about several months ago, and unfortunately it was in the midst of reworking our contract with the city, and I begged him to please hold off on this until things are a little bit more stable, and I think we're at that point of stability. So Chief Ward asked if he could come back and discuss this and make a pitch and a plea to you, and so we are grateful that he has taken off time from his work in order to be here. This is important to him and to all of the volunteers. So Chief Ward, thank you, and I'll turn it over to you.
Well, I'm here kind of today, Marcus and I both, as you asked, back in June the 9th on the new budget, we asked for the increase of the monthly money to be raised to $1,700 instead of $1,200, and it was voted on. We've been asked to hold off on it, like the judge said, and then so now we come back in to ask y'all to go ahead and start paying that $1,700 per month. Actually, it should have started like October 1st, but we held off on it. This will allow departments an extra $500 a month to help pay the bills, fuel costs, etc. We do have a new contract that was signed by all the volunteer fire departments. All y'all have a copy of it. We gave this to them several months ago. They took it, read it. We gave them another copy at the chief's meeting the other night, and they all signed it, agreeing to it. What this allows is the Firefighters Association to oversee that they are fulfilling their agreement between the county and the VFDs. If for some reason a department falls behind, just quits doing stuff, or quits making the calls, then the Firefighter Association will come back into y'all and recommend that their pay be cut back from the $1,700 down to the $1,200 for a 90-day period. That gives them time to reevaluate and get going again. For several months, Sugar Hill was the top. We've since then, Sugar Hill has started making some calls. and they've started showing up to some monthly training. And what we asked the Firefighter Association is that we start everybody off at $1,700, not cut back on the way. According to Matt Ray, the sheet that he gave us the other night, majority of the people are getting their stuff turned in that they're supposed to be. They're testing, their hose testing, flow testing, SCBA bottles, and et cetera. So looks like everybody's putting out an effort to get it done. That's the reason we're asking for the 1,200 to be raised up to the 1,700. The Firefighter Association, we talked to the judge about it here a while back. This is basically the same contract, or excuse me, agreement that the county's always had with the volunteers. We just put it in the format that the Firefighter Association will be looking at and handling. The fire chief is still responsible for their department on day-to-day, month-to-month, year-to-year basis. All we're trying to do is just bring everybody together. If they have issues, the association will get with them. And what's the problem, guys? We try to fix it the best we can. So we're all trying to bring all the departments in together and kind of make it a family, I guess you'd say, and try to get everything taken care of. Also, we are, like I said, we are asking for the $500 for, I guess, be October, November, and I guess December, since the money's already been put back before the budget, to go ahead and be paid to the volunteer departments. And the firefighters pay, there's $5,000 per department. Halco's the only department that has $8,000. This was brought up several months ago about raising the firefighters' pay. A basic firefighter coming in as a volunteer got $8. Your wildland was $9. Your support level with the structure in wildland was $10. And we didn't have a driver CDL or Class B pay. Your structure firefighter, you only got $12. It's 469 hours of training to be a structural firefighter. I've been one now for 16 years. A lot to it. We are proposing that we move the basic from 8 to 12, wildland from 9 to 14, support from 10 to 15. If you have a Class B or a CDL that you can drive big trucks, there will be a $20 flat on it. If you're a structural firefighter, we go from 12 to 25. There's $5,000 put back in each account to pay these people each year for making the runs. Since we've started late this year, actually it'll start January 1st. If the increase reaches that $5,000 pay, we'll just cut it off until the new budget year. Then we'll come back in and ask, if we need another 1,000 added to it, 2,000 or whatever it is. I don't know if it's going to help any or not, but I think it would. Or I don't know if it helped getting new members in or not, but the one that's there now, get a little bit more money, help pay for the fuel, wear and tear, and etc. We also are looking at paying, the state requires us to do 20 hours training a year. I do not agree with the state, but that's what's required. So the association sat down and we discussed it, that we'd like to pay a firefighter, if they show up for the 4 hours a month and do training for 4 hours, they receive a $25, which would be included in that $5,000. But like I said, once we reach that $5,000, then we'll just stop until the new budget year comes in. And I reckon that'll be like June, probably, and send out. Then we'll look at it for the next year. Any questions?
Who will be the entity that will be responsible for verifying this 40% and enforcing that? In other words, who's going to police these commitments that are
Matt Ray
making?
came up here and gave his report to y'all like every other month. Okay, Matt Ray won't be doing that no more. He's gonna continue keeping the records, the numbers. He will send it over to the Firefighter Association. We'll look at it, and then we control it from there.
So he'll still collect the data, but he's going to report it to you. Essentially, you, the Firefighters Association will be the ones that will say, okay, X department, you're not cutting it here. You're not meeting the minimums here, and
Well, what we're gonna do is, we don't wanna just up and say, you ain't doing it, we're cutting you off. If we see there's an issue, then we'll go sit down and talk to them. Say, what's the problem, guys? Y'all need us to take your packs to long for you, whatever the situation is, to get it going. And then if it continues to be a problem, then we'll come back from the Commissioner's Court and request it to be knocked down to 1,200 until they get it caught back up. Even if we knock it down to 1,200 and y'all approve it, and 2 weeks later they call and say, hey, we got all this caught up now, we're still gonna wait the 90 days. Because if it's gonna be too much problem on the ladies, you know, every couple of weeks. So we're doing want to do a 90-day basis on it.
you think that Firefighters Association has whatever it takes to financially harm one of their departments, and that's a tough call. It's a tough call for these guys to make.
Yeah, the association is made up of members from each department in the county. The fire chiefs, when we hand these agreements out several months ago, we told them, said, y'all need to go read this and check it out, make sure you understand everything in it. No one come back, no one commented on it, no one said nothing. So then when we gave them out at the chiefs meeting the other night, we're like, okay, they just signed it. They all understand that if they don't turn this stuff in, then it's gonna cost them. And I think the association can control it.
Well, I'm more concerned about this 40% rule. And it simply comes down to a matter, in my mind, that additional pay is warranted to a department that continues to show up at these events, and the ones that, I'm not saying they're unwilling, they may simply be unable to meet these 40% requirements just because they don't have the volunteer
Right.
base.
That's really just going to be evaluated. We're not, like I said, we're not just going to say we're cut off. It's going to be looked at, it's going to be discussed. We got the numbers.
Well, you got to do more than look at and discuss. You've got to make the tough call to say, no, you're getting a pay decrease of $500 a month because you shouldn't be getting the same amount of money that somebody that's showing up at these regular events. You know, that's the question I've got on all this. I believe there are several departments that certainly deserve this $1,700, but I think that there are others that are not. And again, it's not a matter of willingness, it's a matter of ability.
Right now, the only one that is not at the 40% is Sugar Hill. And they've been making some calls. They are currently now at 40%. So they're all departments are at 40% as of today.
Okay.
The volunteers, as far as them showing up, they're still at 25%. You have to make 25% of the calls as a volunteer. But the department, because they only require one truck, one person to show up and get credit for that count, that they're at 40%.
Commissioners, this is a substantial amount of money. If you feel more comfortable in letting your new judge and commissioner participate in this decision, I throw that out as a possibility. Otherwise, I'm not sure I feel personally comfortable voting on this since I'll be gone here, and this is a lot of money that I'm getting ready to approve.
How much money are we talking yearly on this, guys?
There's 36,000 y'all voted on.
It's already been voted on.
For this year, budget year.
Where was put in the budget.
And then, like I said, we held off because the Commissioner's Court.
Yeah, it was budgeted, but it hadn't been spent.
And I briefly talked about it
a little bit before, of course, the judge had asked us to stand by till the contract was done. Judge Cooper and I talked about this. Our goal here is not to hurt a department or take money away from a department. Our goal is to make the firefighters in Titus County one united. We want to get everybody. I don't know, and Jerry don't know, all the firefighters in the county anymore. That's got to change. We should know everybody. Everybody will be involved in this meeting. And when it comes down to the time that, and we use Sugar Hill because they were the hot topic for so long, if it comes down to a point that they're not able to meet it, well, they're going to have their voices heard along with every other volunteer or firefighter, because a Mount Pleasant firefighter is a firefighter in Titus County. And, you know, if something happens to any department, we will all talk about it. All the volunteers will have a meeting. We'll all discuss it as a volunteer. So when it comes back to y'all that we need to look at doing something, this comes from us as a whole, not from Jerry and myself. Now, some of the smaller deals like we're talking about, you know, if they didn't get their stuff or they didn't hit it and it drops back, we went on a quarter basis because it could happen to any of our departments next month. If I'm out of town and take my family, that takes 6 or 7 of us out. So yeah, our percentages could drop. If some people are sick, your percentage could drop for 1 month. But if you make it 2 out of the 3 for extenuating circumstances, that needs to be looked at, because it's not right to penalize you if something happens once out of a year. But if it continues month after month after month, so for that quarter, we're going to evaluate it. And if they have fallen below that target, then yes, the next quarter they will drop to 1,200. And that will be a decision that the board, Titus County Firefighter Association, will make. And it'll ultimately come down to the board making that decision, which is myself and Jerry and Justin. But we'll have everybody in that meeting. If it ever comes to a situation that, hey, we need to lose this department, divide this money up by the people that are making the call, that will come from the volunteer firefighters. That will come from them to us to y'all. And when we come to y'all, we'll be able to come in here and say, as the volunteer fire departments, this is what we feel is the best decision. And that department will have their people on there to argue for them. We don't want to lose a department. In no way. No. We want to support the department. If it takes, something I personally think we need to look at, and I think I've mentioned this to Jerry, I may not, in the near future, especially when we start getting into grass fires, is we need to, when we page Argo to a fire, page the next closest department. When we page Tri-Lakes to a fire, page the next closest department. And that way, if Mount Pleasant's busy or whatever, we're preparing for later down the road to be to where we can do things on our own if we have to. You know, if Nortex catches a call, Cookville goes with them. If Cookville catches a call this side, Nortex will come. If it's that side, Argo will come to us. Argo will go toward Sugar Hill. That's something we need to look into, because that may give us 1 more truck and 1 more man. Because if you got a department that's only got 1 truck and 1 man going, and Mount Pleasant's on the other side of the county, you know, it's easy for us to get on the radio and call for them, but we need to look at making it automatic.
Well, and that's how we're going to control costs that we pay to the city, is by providing the support that we should. If we continue to rely more and more on the city of Mount Pleasant, we need to be prepared to pay more and more to the city of Mount Pleasant. So everybody up here wants these volunteer departments to thrive and survive. And I don't look at somebody who is knocked back to $1,200 as being punished. I look at that as we're putting the dollars where it's deserved. You know, if the equipment is being used, there needs to be more money contributed. If it's not being used because we're not coming to the events, that's not punishing. That's putting money where it goes appropriately.
Yes, sir. I agree with that. Like I said, Sugar Hill's hitting their 40% right now. And to us, the only fair way to do it, Jerry and I just talked about this quite a bit, the only fair way to do it is start everybody out on an even playing field and start a new day, get us all reunited, and we'll go from there.
Okay. This decision then is only about the 1,200 to 1,700. It's not about adjusting individual level pay.
Yeah, would be, as far as the individual pay, fire chief set that up a long time ago. We would never come to the county on the fire chief set up pay on it. I don't know if Barbara says she thought it had to come back from y'all in.
The only way that would affect the county, and it wouldn't affect the county any this year on budget because we're already budgeted for 5,000. Once we hit that 5,000 mark, then it would be up to the departments to just pay the volunteers out of their money a month.
Well, you answered my question. We're only talking about going from 1,200 to 1,700.
Yes, which we had put in the budget already previously. It was just figuring out what was told to us. We need to figure out how we were going to divide that up amongst departments, the extra money.
But neither did we budget for the increased amount that we had to pay to the city. So it kind of offset. All right, commissioners, questions, comments, discussion for these guys? And I appreciate you both being here and making this presentation. I really appreciate this new entity, the Firefighters Association.
Have y'all discussed where y'all want to meet at every month?
We did have a discussion about it Thursday night. Of course, Mike wasn't there, and he and I talked briefly this morning. We're going to have a meeting with all the chiefs after the first of the year and discuss it. I know you said we can get the extension office. Everybody the other night that was there, one of the main reasons there is the food. It's easy to get the food at Mount Pleasant. They can get it dropped off. Mount Pleasant goes and gets it. That's the convenience of having everything there already set up. We wouldn't have to move stuff up there for the eating, because we always eat at the chiefs meetings, and that's paid for by the departments, each department. Here lately, Mount Pleasant's had a fund that we'd set up for it, but originally different departments would buy one month and then the next one, but we all just kind of put money in, and the college or Capital Culinary Arts, I think it's College Culinary Arts has been providing our food for us normally. Sometimes Larry will cook chili or somebody will cook something else, but for the most part, we're using the Culinary Arts departments to provide the meal for that. It's just the convenience of having somebody there when they get there. So for right now, the next one will still be there, and then we'll discuss it again at the next chiefs meeting if we need to move that.
Thank you.
Well, I'll make a motion, we approve this.
I have a motion to approve an increase from 1,200 to 1,500 per month, effective when, Commissioner?
17.
What, 17?
It goes to 17.
That's what I said.
You said 15.
From 1,200 to 1,700 effective when?
Yeah, let's back it up to October.
Retroactive to October 1?
Yes.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Parchman.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, there you go.
Thank y'all.
Sounds good, fellas. Thank y'all.
Item number 8, discuss Precinct 1 taking over part of County Road 1250 and County Road 1030, the north side of Highway 67 and County Road 1200 from Precinct 2. Is Fitch not cutting it or what?
Yeah.
All right, commissioners, explain what we're doing here.
What we've been running into in the middle of the night is figuring out where we're going, because we're sharing some roads, especially that 1200 piece. And the 1250, we don't know who to send. Sometimes we clean up the other, we just get whoever goes and can get there, sees it in the daytime, tends to it. So we decided they could take on, it's about 3 miles, and they have the least miles in our precincts.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I could use the extra miles and it'd avoid a lot of confusion doing it this way, so I'm happy with it, John's happy with it, so.
Okay. All right, need a motion.
I make a motion that Precinct 1 take over those parts of the shared roads that we've been sharing.
All right, there's a motion. Second, Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 11, this is one of these where we need to approve a donation, and I sure think we should because we've already got the equipment here in Titus County. We received a call about 3 weeks ago from Seth Thurman, who works for Lantana Communications, and he is the one that supports and helps us with our Avaya IP office telephone system that takes care of the entire county. And apparently one of his clients, American State Bank of Tyler, said find a worthy recipient of our old IP Office 500 version 2 phone system that includes thousands, if not hundreds thousand plus worth of telephones and equipment that we don't necessarily need right now, but at some point in the near future, Seth believes we're going to need a new phone system, and this one is years ahead of what ours is. And Seth told us this would be a great opportunity for Titus County. If you will accept this donation, we will store it, and then when the time comes and we tell you we think it's a good time to switch over, of course they would help us with the conversion and the upgrade, but we wouldn't have to buy that equipment. So I strongly encourage you to accept this kind donation from the American State Bank of Tyler, Texas.
Make a motion, we accept it.
Motion by Commissioner Applewhite and second by Commissioner Parker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 12 was an informational item, but because of the weather, this has been postponed. But we have an exciting new announcement regarding a company called Local Bounty, B-O-U-N-T-I. That's not a misprint or a misspell. That's the name of the company. They will go by Local Bounty, Texas, and they were going to have a groundbreaking ceremony tomorrow from the hours of 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Cypress Industrial Park. That has been indefinitely postponed, probably until January due to weather. So that's a no action item. That was just informational only. We're down to item number 13, approve oral and written reports.
Make a motion to approve the reports.
Motion is made by Commissioner Fitch.
Second.
Was that a second? Commissioner Parchman, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next, we have our treasurer's report in item number 14 for approval.
Make a motion we approve the report.
Motion to approve the treasurer's reports made by Commissioner Fitch.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, let me pass these documents down for your signature. Where did Nanette go? I guess I don't have any of the reports to sign. Let's sign the treasurer's report, and I'll get your signature on the auditor's report later on. I think she handed me that. I don't think she did. So I'm gonna check my desk, make sure. No, I think she might have she did bring it to me. Look in there. There's the treasurer's report. James is getting the auditor's report. Item number 15, approve budget amendments. We do not have any today, so that's a no action item. Item number 16, sign pay orders and approve bill payments.
Make a motion to pay our bills.
Motion made to pay those bills by Commissioner Parker.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 17, closing comments by judge and commissioners. I don't think I have anything left to say today. I'll go to Commissioner Parchman.
This goes out to the ones that are retiring. I just want to thank each and every one of y'all for all y'all's years of service. It's been an honor to work with each and every one of you, and I wish you all the best in years to come.
Thank you.
I'll second that. I appreciate all these ones that are retiring, have done all this service and been easy to work with. Appreciate y'all.
I appreciate everyone that has put their time and effort in and done this county great, and hope we come in with some, we'll go out and do another year good. And I'd like to get a picture with all of us with John before we leave here today.
All I want to say is I appreciate the help and all that I've gotten from each and every one of y'all. Appreciate you, Judge, helping us and taking care of things like you have. I wish y'all the best in your retirement, and hope that you won't be strangers. You'll come back and visit us and see us.
Oh, I'm going to pester y'all regularly.
You got to come back.
I won't. No, I won't. All right. Thank you very much. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Motion. Second. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.